In the darkest corners of a city that never sleeps, a legend was born. Not of a hero, not really of a villain, but of something else entirely. Something in the space between. Today we're going deep into the story of a ghost, a man forged in blood and lies. This is Operation Blackmark. And this right here, this is the key. The whole story hinges on this one idea. It's a warning, really, to question everything you're about to see, to look past the brutality and search for the purpose, no matter how deep it's buried. Because we're about to meet a man who was all three.
All right, let's set the scene. In the grimy, sprawling criminal world of Calianport, one name was spoken only in whispers. A name that brought a chill to even the most hardened gangster. Rakesh. The name literally means ash. You know, what's left when everything has been burned to the ground. And believe me, that's exactly what he did to anyone who got in his way.
Now this is what made him so terrifying. The anonymity. He was a complete phantom. No history, no family, nothing to tie him to the world. You gotta understand, in the underworld, your past is a weakness. It's leverage. Rock had none. He was just this force of pure, untraceable violence.
And his rise? It was lightning fast, scary fast. In just 2 years, he didn't just get a seat at the table, he flipped the whole table over. He took the docks, the absolute lifeblood of the city's black market, and he wasn't subtle about it. His executions were public theater. It got so bad the police didn't even want to arrest him. Their file just had 2 words on it: kill on sight.
This quote from a city police inspector just says it all, doesn't it? He wasn't seen as a man anymore. He was a force of nature, an omen. He didn't have to look for trouble. Trouble saw him coming and got out of the way.
Okay, so he's a major player. But to get to the very top, he needed to get close to the king, the city's most powerful and feared crime lord, a man named Bao. And to do that, he had to prove that he was even more of a monster than anyone else in Bao's crew.
Seriously, think about that for a second. It's a terrifying question. You can't just promise loyalty, you have to become a perfect mirror of their own darkness, maybe even a darker version of it. You have to prove you'll do the things that even they might think twice about.
And this was his audition. The scene is just cold, clinical. They drag some poor guy in. The order is a test of both brutality and obedience. No gun, no noise. This has to be up close, personal, and quiet. And Rock, he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't ask a single question. He just picks up the tool for the job.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling. After committing an act of unspeakable violence, his only comment is a complaint, a critique of the victim's durability. That single line right there cemented his legend. He wasn't just a killer, he was something else entirely. And Bagru was sold. Rock was in.
And from that moment on, he was the architect of Bao's entire empire of fear. He planned the hits. He dealt with the traitors. He was the shadow that did all the dirty work, and he did it without a flicker of emotion. It got to the point where people were more afraid of the shadow than the man himself.
But a force of nature like Rock, well, you can't keep it on a leash forever. Cracks started to appear. Not in his loyalty, but somewhere else. The whole thing starts to spiral, faster and faster, towards an explosive, bloody finale.
Now pay close attention, because this is the first time we see something else behind the monster's eyes. The gang has a brutal rule about thieves. Bahu orders Rock to carry out the sentence on a young boy. Another test. Rock shoots him. But the truth is a masterpiece of precision. The bullet was placed to look fatal, but to miss every vital organ by millimeters. This wasn't the act of a monster. This was the work of a surgeon.
And this is what pushes everything right over the edge. It's an insane move. Slaughtering an ally? It looks like a pure power grab, a betrayal of the highest order. For Bao, this is the ultimate red flag. He's convinced his own weapon is about to be turned on him. The tension is just unbearable.
So, the stage is set for the final act, an old, abandoned refinery. Every major player in the organization is there. Bao thinks he's setting a trap for a police informant. He has absolutely no idea that he's just gathered all his enemies in one place for his own executioner. And when the violence starts, it's over in a flash. Rock moves like a ghost, taking down every single one of Bao's lieutenants. When it's just him and Bao left, Bao looks up from the floor and says this. It's the ultimate confirmation, right? It's what we've been led to believe all along. Rock is pure evil.
But Rock's answer, this is the line that changes everything.
It's not a confession. It's a verdict. He's not the devil. He's the bill that has come due. He's the inevitable result of all their crimes. And it's the very last thing he ever says as Rock.
And with that one word, consequence, the world turns upside down. The smell of gunpowder is still in the air as the truth, the real truth, finally comes to light.
Suddenly, the refinery is flooded with police lights. Cops swarm the place, and Rack, the man who just single-handedly decapitated the entire city's underworld, he doesn't fight. He doesn't run. He just drops his gun and stands there.
And then, the reveal. After a long, heavy silence, he doesn't give them a name, he gives them a number. Badge number 4172, Officer Arjun Malhotra, 6 years deep cover. And in that instant, every murder, every brutal act, every cold-blooded decision we just saw gets completely rewritten. It wasn't a crime spree, it was a mission.
And just look at the conditions of this mission. This wasn't an official by-the-books operation. It was illegal, off the grid. He volunteered. He had no handler, no one to report to, no backup waiting to pull him out. He was utterly and completely alone for 6 years with one objective: become a monster to destroy all the other monsters.
So, the mission was a total success. The city was safe, but this is where the story gets truly tragic. It asks the most important question. After the monster's job is done, what's left of the man? What is the real price of a victory like this?
And this says it all. It's the core of the tragedy. Rock, the brutal persona he built, had to die in that refinery. But Arjun Malhotra, the officer, the man he used to be, he'd been dead for years. All that was left was a name in a file, a ghost of a different kind.
And here's the final, devastating irony. He won. He did the impossible. He saved the city. And what was his reward? To be cast aside. The very department he sacrificed his soul for declared him psychologically contaminated, too broken by the darkness he had to walk through.
And that's the thought we're left with. A city saved, but a man erased. It forces you to ask, when you send a man into the abyss to fight monsters, what do you really expect to come back? And is any victory worth the price of a human soul?